Hello everyone, Sandi here, and it is time for the Oracle deck collection video. I apologize for taking a bit of time to film this because I got ill again and my partner got COVID over Christmas. So basically, I've not had a moment on my own at home for all of this time. And now I have maybe half an hour to an hour to myself, so we'll see how much I get filmed now in this little period of time that I've got. But I hope that you've all had a really lovely holiday season. And if the holiday season is a tough time for you, then, you know, I feel you. It's been a very tough holiday season for me as well. So let's just take a little bit of time here to just enjoy ourselves and look at some pretty decks, shall we? Yeah. All right, let's get started. As with the previous video, I have no system here. I just picked all of my decks out of its storage and piled them next to me over here. So I'll just grab the nearest one, shall I? So this here is the Roots and Wings Oracle by Cat Riles. And this is the mini edition. I absolutely adore this deck. I actually received this one as a gift from my lovely friend Krista, and it is one of my absolute favorites. This is the deck that I learned how to riffle shuffle on, and I will forever love it for that. I actually used to hate rose petal finishes. I couldn't connect with this deck because I couldn't shuffle it, so that's why it kind of forced me to learn how to riffle shuffle. And yeah, I have loved it ever since. It's the most gorgeous deck to shuffle, and it was actually in my it was actually my worst shuffle in the Tarot to the Extreme tag, my worst Oracle deck to shuffle, and now it's like my most favorite deck to shuffle. So that's actually quite funny. But yeah, this is a gorgeous little deck, and I know that Kat is currently working on another Oracle deck, and I honestly can't wait. The pictures on her Instagram are so gorgeous. But yeah, I could look at these pictures all day long, but we have a lot of decks to get through. So this was the Roots and Wings Oracle by Cat Riles. Next up is another gift. This is a deck made and gifted to me by my lovely good friend Andy Taylor. She's got her own shop on Etsy. It's Metaphysics Made Easy, and this deck here is the Feel Your Chakras Oracle that she's made herself, and it's my thickest Oracle deck of the bunch. It's got loads of cards, but it's a really cool deck actually. I don't work with chakras myself, so I don't even use the chakra bit. I just really love the prompts here, or the texts, key texts, and I use them a lot in my readings, and they are very potent actually. every time I use this deck I get really cool readings. So I really love this deck. And I really love the way it feels as well. It's like super soft. Like the slide isn't even... I can't even explain it. I really love this cardstock. And like, look at that. Look at that spread. It's just so smooth is the way I want to describe it. So yeah, that's the Feel Your Chakras Oracle by Andy Taylor. And this one has its special place here on my desk. I never really put it away. All right, next up is another favorite of mine. It is the Woodland Wardens Oracle. These are the backs. And this is by Jessica Rue. Sorry, I had a little bit of a brain freeze there. Jessica Rue. And yeah, this is such a gorgeous deck. And I have actually trimmed my copy. I haven't edged it yet because I couldn't decide on what to edge it with. But I trimmed off the excess. There was loads, like huge white borders on it, and I just trimmed it down so that it had a thinner white border. I have been considering trimming it down so that I trim off this part as well as all of the white borders, just because I don't really use the numbering system here. I mean, it's Roman numerals. I don't have a problem with not Roman numerals, but when they become like really big with lots and lots of numbers, like that one, I tend to just I just want to find the right place in the guidebook, and I just go by the pictures instead. So if this is the guidebook and you have the picture of each card, so I just flip it like this so that I can see the picture, and then I just stop when I see the card that I have and I want to read up on. So I don't go by the Roman numerals at all, because they don't even have, like in the contents section you see here, they don't even have the page number for the card. Like that would have made it much easier, but they don't have page numbers. So yeah, I don't really go by the Roman numerals at all. Anyway, let's look at the cards, shall we? I'm talking way too much. The artwork, Jessica's artwork, is just absolutely fantastic. I love it to bits. So this deck has quickly become one of my absolute favorite Oracle decks. And each card also has, in the guidebook, there are questions, journaling prompts, and I tend to use those journaling prompts to create reading. So I pull a card, and then I look at what is written in the guidebook, and then I look at the journaling prompts, and I create tarot spread reading, like a spread from those questions. So yeah, I get really potent readings from that as well. And oh my goodness, it's just every card in this deck just makes me go, oh, it's so beautiful. So yeah, one of my absolute favorites is the Woodland Wardens by Jessica Rue. And this one also has its special place here on my desk, so I'll just pop it right back there. Next one up is this little guy, and this is the Earthbound Oracle. Sorry, by I believe David Schwartz. Is that his name? I can't remember now. I do apologize, but the Earthbound Oracle. And this one was actually my very first indie oracle that I bought. And it's very special to me. I love this artwork as well. And this is also one of my absolute favorite oracles. I love the little size. Like, oh, it's such a joy to hold. And yeah, this deck really made me want the wooden tarot, but I haven't bought that one yet because that one actually scares me a little bit. It seems very different. But yeah, this is a very special deck in my collection. I love it to bits, and I get really good readings with it. And I absolutely love that they are painted on wood, and you can see the grain, the wood grain on each card. It's really cool. Yeah, so that was the Earthbound Oracle. Next up is a very, very special deck. This is the Cottage Witch Oracle by my lovely friend Krista. When I say my lovely friend Krista, I mean Krista from the Crochet Witch Tarot channel here on YouTube. She made her own oracle deck, and so these are the gorgeous backs. And yeah, this little deck, I mean, honestly, it shuffles like an absolute dream. I love shuffling this deck. It is, honestly, it's a bit slippy, I won't lie. But it's so soft to shuffle, and it's just the best. It's just the best. So yeah, it's such a cute little deck. I love the guidebook especially. It makes the whole deck really special in my opinion, because it gives a new perspective to these these keywords. And yeah, I really love the overall feel of this deck, and that's probably because because my good friend made it. But I think that that energy really translates into her like into the energy of this deck, because she's just such a lovely soul. And yeah, if you want to check out this deck, it should be available on her Etsy shop, and I will have that linked down below. This was the Cottage Witch Oracle by Krista. And she makes her own little bags for this deck as well by hand, and it's just so good. Next up is the Coastal Curiosities Oracle deck. Now this is the second edition by Lennox, and this deck is by Lennox Rees, as you can see there. Now I've wanted this deck for a long time, ever since I saw the first edition and I missed out on it, and I was so excited when I heard that she was releasing a second edition with an updated guidebook, and I jumped at the chance of backing this on Kickstarter. So this is a collage art deck, but it's just so cleverly done, and it's so different in the way it's done as well, in my opinion, mixing black and white and color in all kinds of time periods, and it's just yeah, it's really cool. And I really love the the keywords in this deck. And also this deck shuffles like a dream because it's linen cardstock. And it's just, it's so cool. It's so cool, and I really love using this deck. And honestly, just so beautiful. And the guidebook, like I said, is very cool as well. I love how the second edition is now including the symbology, like the symbols that she's chosen. So she's included here, like for example in this card Pursue, we get 3 keywords and then a little write-up, and then we get what each element in the card symbolizes, which I think is super duper cool. So the choices in a card of what's included in a card is intentional, and they each carry their own symbolism, and yeah, that's just really cool. So this was the Coastal Curiosities Oracle deck by Lennox Rees. Alright, next up is the Terra Oracle, and this is a very special oracle in my opinion. It's got 100 cards. These are the gorgeous backs. The thing that makes this deck special though is the guidebook, and because the cards themselves are these very simple ink drawings of the animals, and we get the animal as well as a keyword up in the on the top of the card. So most people might not be feeling very drawn to this kind of simple artwork, but where this deck shines is the absolutely fantastic guidebook, and I will show you the guidebook actually, because I've got it right here. Alright, so the guidebook is built up in a very special way, and I have actually done a walkthrough of this deck, so I'm not going to go into much detail, but basically each and every card has this really large image of the card itself. Then we have all of this information about each card. So we get a bunch of information about the animal and its behaviors, and then we have this cool thing here in the bottom called the ecosystem, where it actually connects the card itself, so this is the barn owl, to another card in the deck, and explains how each and every card is connected to a different card through the ecosystem. And I find this so unique and so exquisite. I find it so cool how there is wisdom and knowledge to be learned through these connections. And honestly, this book, this deck is just chef's kiss. Love it so much. So I'll just flip through a few more cards, but you get the gist. And the keywords are also really cool and unique, and I really appreciate this deck. It's so cool. So that was the Terra Oracle, and I think I forgot to mention the creator's name. It doesn't actually say on here. Oh yes, it does. Lucas Keown and Lindsay Cummins. So there you go, the Terra Oracle. Alright, next up is the Spirit of Nature Oracle by John Matthews and Will Worthington. And this is a pouch I've made myself for it. And I've trimmed this deck as well and edged it in a golden sparkly matte thing. And yeah, so this is a Celtic Ogham deck with the spirits of each tree depicted by Will Worthington. And it's a gorgeous deck that I really haven't gotten to know much yet. Not as much as I would have wanted to. I've been working with some other tree decks, to be honest, so but I'm hoping to get around to this one fairly soon. But yeah, very gorgeous artwork by Will Worthington, and I really do like the guidebook as well. I like reading about all the history and symbology of the trees, like history in the sense of how it was used historically, like what druids used them for and what they symbolize for them. And yeah, super pretty deck that I hope to work with more soon. That was the Spirit of Nature Oracle. Next up is the Wisdom of the Kalia by Jane Brydeson, and this is a really gorgeous deck that I was hoping to trim fairly soon. I was hoping to trim off the white borders here because the backs are borderless and the cards are absolutely massive. They're okay to shuffle, you know, sideways, I suppose, but it would help me out. You can see here they can be shuffled like so, but it would really help me out if they could be just a teensy bit smaller, so I was thinking of getting rid of the white border. But yeah, this is the Wisdom of the Kalia by Jane Brydeson, and this is how that's spelled, in case you are wondering. This is the book. And this is such a powerful deck. It doesn't have many cards, but it's just it's just so gorgeous, and I love these old women. It just has a very special place in my collection, because I feel so, I don't know, it's difficult to explain, but I feel so connected to something when I use this deck. And it's the gorgeous artwork and the gorgeous writing in the guidebook, and just connecting with this older energy makes me feel safe and nurtured, I suppose. And yeah, I suppose it's something that I have been missing in my life. I've just some kind of old nurturing energy to show me the way, you know. So I adore this deck. It's honestly so beautiful. And that was the Wisdom of the Kalia by Jane Brydeson. All right, next up we have the Fairies Oracle by Brian Froud. And I have trimmed this deck so that it would be just a tiny bit smaller. It used to have these mustardy yellow borders around the whole thing, and honestly now, when I've learned how to riffle shuffle, I kind of regret doing that a little bit. But this is now my deck. It's you know, fits my hands better. And honestly, once I've worked with this for long enough, I think I might even trim off the rest of the yellow together with the titles. but for the time being, I think it's fine. And I've also edged it in this yellow, pale yellow color. This deck is, I mean, it's very, very beloved by a lot of people in this community, and it's definitely not difficult to see why. The guidebook is absolutely fantastic. This is definitely the kind of deck that you just pull one card and you sit with that card and the text in the guidebook for like a week. At least that is how I've been using it. I pull a card every now and then, and I read the guidebook entry, and I sit with it and think about it, and I might journal a little bit, and it's been pretty interesting actually, because whenever I pull one of these cards, it's like the energy of that fairy is just to be seen everywhere. Like it's the most, serendipitous, or what is the word? It's just the most funny thing. I just can't really explain it. But yeah, the artwork in this is fantastic, and I really love the way that Brian Froud taps into this kind of fae energy. Yeah, so that was the Fairies Oracle by Brian Froud, and the book was written by Jessica Macbeth. Might as well show you the other Brian Froud deck that I've got, and this is the Heart of Fairy Oracle. So this is a deck that I hunted down after getting the Fairies Oracle, which is still in print and mass market. I hunted down the Heart of Fairies, or Heart of Fairy Oracle, which is by Brian and Wendy Froud, so Brian and his wife Wendy. And this one is out of print, unfortunately, and you can sometimes find it for a reasonable amount of money, and I managed to get hold of one copy that was being sold for, quite reasonably, and this one was already edged when I received it. But this one is a little bit more gentle, perhaps. It's more gentle. It is... It's like if people have described it as like, if you want an entry point to the Brian Froud fairy energy and universe, then the Heart of Fairy is more gentle in energy and not as harsh, maybe. But basically, they just have two very different energies. The artwork itself is obviously quite similar, but I do prefer the artwork actually in the Heart of Fairy. But I prefer the guidebook of the Fairies Oracle. So it's a tough choice. But I use them in different ways, I suppose. This one, the Heart of Fairy, is just... yeah, I suppose I use it more often than the Fairies Oracle, just because it doesn't give me as much to chew on. But that does not by any means mean that this one does not give you food for thought. It definitely does. And like I said, I really, really love the artwork in the Heart of Fairy. So, yeah, this one feels more fairy tale-y and a little bit more, I don't know, yeah, fairy magical. Love this card. So yeah, this is the Heart of Fairy Oracle by Brian and Wendy Froud. Next up is the Folktales Oracle by Hannah Willow, and this is a really special deck as well in my collection. I have corner rounded my copy because it came with sharp unrounded corners, and I've also edged it in a pale blue to go with the backs. So this deck is special because I actually traded one of my bags with Hannah. So I sent her one of my bags and she sent me her deck, and it's such a gentle and sweet deck. I really love the artwork. Hannah's artwork is very magical and gives you a very specific, nighttime, mysterious, but still kind of like comforting feeling. It's quite unique in that sense. And love this card. So pretty. And yeah, I just, I need to use this deck more often. I feel like it's taken the back seat for a little bit now because I've been using my Woodland Wardens so often. But I really should put my Woodland Wardens away for a bit and just, switch it up a little bit. And this one is first in line, I believe. It's just so pretty. So pretty. So this is the Folktales Oracle by Hannah Willow. Next up is the Untamed Spirit Animal Oracle. So this is what the box looks like when you receive it, and it's kind of like this slidey out thing, and this tuck box and the guidebook is in here. This is illustrated by Rocco Lombardi and edited by Francesca Matteoni. So it's by Italian creators. And honestly, this, even though it's a black and white deck, I really do like this deck. It's glossy, but super pretty. I mean, look, you get 2 keywords for each card, and these backs are absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. So it's a very cool deck in that sense. Like, for example, here, if I use this deck kind of like I use the Woodland Wardens, because you get 2 keywords. I pull a card for my animal energy of the day, and then I create a reading from these 2 keywords. So I basically would, if I pulled the wren, I would pull a tarot card for how I can embody courage today, or where do I need more courage today, and then the other card would be how can I show more humility, or where in my life do I need to show more humility today, things like that. And it all kind of depends on what circumstances have going on at the moment as well. Like, if I have something specifically going on in my life and I pull the hedgehog card, then, I would use these keywords. Or I think also the guidebook gives you more keywords. I'm not sure. I can't remember now. But I would use the keywords to then bounce off whatever is going on in my life at the moment as well. So yeah, this deck is super gorgeous. Love the keywords, and very valued deck in my collection. And this deck is mass market and not very expensive at all. So that was the Untamed Spirit Animal Oracle. Next is another super special oracle in my collection, and that's the Maggie Black oracle deck, the Tree Whisper Oracle, and this is the second one, the Secret Garden. I am hoping to grab one of her first Tree Whisper oracles at some point. The trees in this one is photographed in spring and summer, and I believe that the first one, the trees are photographed in winter and autumn. So this deck is just absolutely gorgeous. Look, these are the backs. They're massive. This deck is massive, but I just don't mind it at all, because it's just so cool to see this artwork so up close. Maggie has a very special connection to trees, and she has photographed each and every one of these trees in the forests around where she lives, and she has mirrored the images so that half of the image is mirrored from each other, and it creates these very cool looking faces and creatures in the trees. And then we have a keyword as well. There is no guidebook because she intended it to be read intuitively, but I believe that she is actually working on a guidebook, if I'm not mistaken. And if I am, then I apologize. But I think I subscribe to her newsletter, and I feel like if I haven't dreamt it, she's mentioned it in one of her newsletters that she is working on a guidebook. But yeah, gorgeous deck, so special, and I feel very privileged to have one of her decks in my collection. This deck I bought straight from Maggie herself, and I believe that I got the last deck that she had at that point. She might have done some more printings by now, but I'm not sure. If you are interested in getting a hold of one of Maggie's decks, I would strongly suggest that you go to her website and sign up for her newsletter. So yeah, that's the Tree Whisper Oracle, the Secret Garden edition by Maggie Black. Next up is the most amazing Birds Oracle deck 2. This deck, oh my goodness, you guys, I love this deck to bits, and it is honestly one of the best bird decks I've ever found. I love the guidebook so much, and I am so gutted that the first deck is completely sold out, and she is not printing anymore. And I can't fathom why. I understand. I kind of understand the whole part about, wanting to honor the first edition people who backed it on Kickstarter, but at the same time, it's a product. Like, if you have the means or the want, at least, to print it again, and you get several emails a week asking for the first deck, like, why on earth would you not? I honestly don't understand. And I'm just talking I'm talking like this because I'm so desperate. I'm so desperate to have the first deck of this, because it's not just like a reprinting. It's a completely other deck, and when you can put them together and get a bigger deck. And I love this deck so much, and like I said, the guidebook is fantastic, and This was the Birds Oracle deck 2 by Jessica Blaine Smith, and illustrations by Mia Emily Freeman. So honestly, if anyone out there sees this and you have the first one and you don't really use it very much, please reach out to me, because I would love to buy it from you or trade something with you. So yeah, love this deck 2 bits, and it shuffles like an absolute dream. So yeah, those are the gorgeous backs. Alright, next up is the Earth Angels message cards by Amanda Clark. And this is a sweet little deck that has a little bit of a story actually, and I was intending to do another video on this actually, because I bought this deck. I followed Amanda Clark on Instagram for quite a few years, and then when I always thought that her artwork would make such a glorious Oracle deck, and then she actually announced that she was creating this messages deck, and I jumped at the chance to buy it, first chance I got, and it is mass market. And I received it, and the first printing of this deck had some kind of issues with the cardstock, and I got that printing and made my review online. I've got my review of this deck here in my YouTube channel, and Amanda Clark managed to see my video. She reached out to me, said she was so sorry I had received one of these faulty decks, and she offered very, very kindly to send me a replacement deck. And honestly, the faulty deck wasn't even that bad. It was a bit sticky in the beginning, and the edges were a little bit rough, but I just you know, cut the but honestly it wasn't really that bad. I just used a corner rounder to cut new corners, and then the more I used it, the less sticky the cardstock was. So, but I'm still super grateful to Amanda for sending out a new copy of this gorgeous deck, because then I was able to re-gift one of them to one of my dear friends, who really seems to like it as well. So these are not oracle cards per se. I mean, it is an oracle, it's a message or affirmation deck. So you've got the artwork and a keyword on the front, and then you've got a little message on the back and an affirmation. And there are just so many ways you could use this deck depending on what you want to use it for. So you just need to be a little bit creative. And I just really love the artwork in this. So that was the Earth Angels message cards by Amanda Clark. Next up is the 100 Ink Animals Oracle deck by Jessica Gowling. And this little deck is pretty similar to the Terra Oracle, to be honest, because it's 100 cards, just like the Terra Oracle. It is on linen cardstock, just like the Terra Oracle, and it is ink, just black and white ink pictures of animals with the keyword, just like the Terra Oracle. And honestly, I don't know why I have both of these, to be honest. But I did find this 100 Ink Animals Oracle deck secondhand So, and I bought this one before I bought the Terra Oracle, so I suppose that's why. I also kind of appreciate this deck because it gives quite unique keywords to the animals, and I really appreciate that. The only thing about this deck was that when I received it, it smelled really badly of tobacco smoke. The previous owner had clearly been an indoor smoker, and it was just not a very pleasant experience working with these cards. But I've had them now for quite a while. I've had them several times in baking soda, trying to get rid of the smell, and the smell is very, very faint now. I can't smell them unless I stick my nose in the cards, and I shan't do that then. So, yeah. No, it's a cute little deck, and the guidebook is also very, very cool, and explains the keywords very well. So, don't know if I'm gonna keep it or not, but at the moment I'm not planning on getting rid of it. At least not yet, because I really do love the little size of it as well. So that's the 100 Ink Animals by Jessica Gowling. Next is the Flora Healing Restorative cards by Rebecca Lefebvre. I do have no idea how to pronounce that. Illustrations by Phoebe Hunt. So there you go. Sold through this Avec la Vie site, and other places as well. But these cards are really cool. I adore the watercolor paper that they've used for the cardstock, and as you can see, it's just really beautiful pictures of flowers, and the messages and keywords are on the back. So here you can see we've got the name of the flower, the Latin name of the flower, a keyword, and then a little write-up about the flower or the plant, and the healing properties, and like overall like a message from that plant energy, and it's really cool. And I really love handling this deck. It's really warm and soft, the way it handles, and yeah, I adore this art style as well. So I'll just flip through some of them for you. Oh dear, got a little bit of a bent card there. Anyway, so that was the Flora Healing Restorative cards. Next up is a super new one to my collection, Wild Whiskers Spirit Animal Oracle by Fina Laura. And this is my first Fina Laura deck. I've been wanting this deck forever. It's so incredibly beautiful, honestly. I have not had a chance to make a video about it yet, but yeah, I do intend to do a walkthrough. So this is another animal deck. And oh goodness, you guys, I adore this deck so much. Look at his little face. Oh, and I love the way this is so unique as well. You get 3 keywords. You get like an adjective here as well, about like that describes the beaver and the energy. And then we also have a little incantation type thing down here, like an affirmation incantation type thing. So you can read the little text here to kind of embody the energy of the animal. And just the artwork, honestly, it just makes me so happy. Look at these colors. It's so soft. I mean, even the snake is pretty. The optimistic otter, the honorable horse, the brawny bear, the frolicking fox, the benevolent bull. Oh, I really, really love this deck, and can't wait to do a walkthrough with you. So this was the Wild Whiskers Spirit Animal Oracle by Flora. Next up is the original Arthur Rackham Oracle, 2nd edition by Duck Soup Productions. This is a deck that I bought secondhand from my friend Andy. And it's got these gilded edges, and the artwork by Arthur Rackham, and these really fun, unique keywords as well, together with a key phrase. And I haven't used this deck very much yet, but it's really pretty and interesting. Although I do find the Arthur Rackham key artwork a little bit difficult to look at, in a sense that it's very busy, and and it's quite dark in places as well, so you need to kind of have good lighting when you're reading with this deck. And honestly, the weirdest keywords, afflatus. Like, you need to bring out the dictionary maybe if you want to read with this deck. Look at those toads. Yeah, so this is the original Arthur Rackham Oracle from Duck Soup. Next up is the Runic Oracle. This is the new edition, it says on the box, and this is by Eva Delcourt. This is the beautiful box. And so this guidebook is both in French and English, so it's twice the thickness. And it's a rune deck, together with some moon cards. These are the gorgeous backs, and I've wanted to study runes for ages, and I thought a rune deck might help me do this. I haven't really started my studies yet, so the deck is largely unused, but it's gorgeous. I really love the artwork in the background. I love all of the keywords that you get with it, and yeah, super pretty deck. Unfortunately unused so far in my collection, but I have pulled a few cards for myself and for a couple of friends, and the messages were quite interesting actually. So yeah, that is the Runic Oracle, the Runic Odyssey Oracle, sorry, by Eva Delcourt. Okay, next up is the Winter Seer Oracle by Ciolo Thompson. And as you probably, this is a mass market deck, and as you probably know, Ciolo Thompson's decks are gorgeous, and her guidebooks are really cool. This is my only Ciolo Thompson deck that I have so far. I have been thinking about getting the Hedge Witch Botanical deck. I nearly got it second hand the other week, but it was sold before I could get to it. So, but this deck is so pretty. I love this animal deck to bits. I must use it more than I do. It's super pretty. I love the guidebook as well, and honestly, there are so many pretty animal decks out there, and I feel like it's circumstantial, you know, which ones I gravitate towards, and I keep looking at this deck thinking it's so gorgeous, I need to use it more, but I've just had so many others that I've been using instead. Like I said, I need to start rotating a little bit better. Because this artwork, I think this is one of her prettiest decks, to be honest. Super pretty. Let's just see. Oh, look at that fox card. So pretty. Love this owl as well. The blackbird. Yeah, so that's the Winterseer Oracle by Ciolo Thompson. Next up is the Reclaim Oracle by, Marion Constantine, which I knew that by heart, but for some reason, when you go through all of these decks, one after the other, the names kind of get a little bit muddled in your head. So this is such a powerful deck. This is a indie deck, but it should be quite available on Marion's website. These are the gorgeous backs, by the way. And this deck is just, honestly, it's just so, I can't find my words today, but it's a little bit confronting, to be honest, and not just a little. It's a very minimal deck. It's just black and this fleshy pink color, and but the keywords and the guidebook, you guys. I don't use this deck very often, especially not this past year, because I've just been in such a place that I just haven't been able to do a lot of this kind of harsh work. Although I have a feeling that it could have helped me a lot. Also in my hard times, I just didn't have the energy for it. But I do feel very strongly connected to this deck nonetheless. I have done readings with it, and they've all been very, very powerful. So it's definitely a very cherished deck in my collection, although it's very difficult for me to shuffle. So yeah, it's not one of my favorites to handle, because it's very thick and just very awkward somehow to handle. But yes, this was the Reclaim Oracle by Marion Constantine. Okay, next up, let's do these little ones, shall we? So I have a few of these little Rockpool decks, and this is the first one, Forest Fae by Nadia Turner. I really love Nadia Turner's artwork. I actually reached out to her before any of her decks actually came out, and I was like, I love your artwork, you need to do an oracle deck. or a tarot deck is I believe I asked for. And she said she's been thinking about it but wasn't sure. But anyway, look at these gorgeous backs. And when I found out that she was coming out with this, I was like, I need to have this the moment it comes out. And honestly, I just love these little guys, these little characters in her decks are just so, I can't explain it, I just love them so much. They are the cutest, and I really love this little size. I still haven't worked too much with it though, because for some reason it's just, I seem to have a bit of a trouble working with decks that, like, I don't know how to say this without sounding weird. It's like decks that suggest things instead of telling me things. I prefer. It's weird. Oops, here we have some upside down things. I do, however, really like to just pull one of these little cards and have them on my desk. The spiny sister. Take pride in yourself. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe I haven't just given it enough of a chance. I am really looking forward to seeing how her tarot deck is coming along, or what it's gonna look like. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like her artwork is so well suited to like a Fae deck or a foresty type deck. And I think the deck that she's been working on now is like a bee deck or something like that. And I was just really hoping for a Fae deck from her. She does the Fae so well. Anyway, speaking of bees, look at these owls. Oh, I'm going to leave this deck out, I think, because it needs more attention from me. All right. That was The Forest Fae by Nadia Turner. And the next deck I have by Rockpool is The Language of Flowers by Sherilyn Darcy. Sherilyn Darcy has quite a few flower decks, I believe, but this is the only one I have. I got this one purely because I was just really drawn to the whole black background with a flower on it, just like a little message to pull for the day. And I actually really think the messages in this one are quite nice, actually. I edged mine in this metallic rose type thing, but it looks a bit, the pen I used wasn't very good. So if I could redo it, I would. But anyway, I really like this little Rockpool size. It feels so sweet in my hand, and the messages are quite straightforward. I like that you get, the name of the flower, the Latin name, as well as a keyword and a key phrase. So you can kind of choose what you go with there. And there's also names of flowers that I haven't really heard of before, which is really cool. And I just find these to be super, super pretty. And they're also quite, I wouldn't say minimalist, but they're quite, you know, what's the word I'm looking for here? Non-woo, I suppose. I don't know. They're very, you know, this is something that maybe my grandma would have used or had around. It's just kind of like pretty flowers and some word of advice, and it's nothing too out there, and it could easily be given as a gift to anybody who loves flowers, for example, or you know, you could easily be left out even when people who are maybe a little bit judgmental come around. It wouldn't, you know, be such a weird thing to have lying about your home. So I really appreciate the simpleness of it. And the next one I've got is The Whispering Woods by Jessica Lee. And this one, I got it for the pretty. I mean, I was hoping that there was going to be more, you know, different pictures, but it's the same frame on each card, and it's just like a little title, or you could see it as a keyword, and then some word of advice. And yeah, I haven't used it very much, but when I've used it, it's always been very comforting and kind of spot on. And also deeper than you think at first glance. Like, obviously there's lots of room for interpretation, but I kind of like to use this one together with a tarot deck. Or if I'm just looking for some quick sage advice, you know, kind of like feeling a little bit lost, I pull a card and interpret whatever is on the card into my situation. And I kind of feel like this is this might be quite an underrated gem in my collection. Actually, it's not the first deck I go to whenever I need any advice, but honestly, I think that maybe I should pull it out a bit more often. So yeah, I'm taking too long. This was The Whispering Woods by Jessica Lee. There we go. So those were my 3 small rock pool decks. Let's just go for another one that's quite interesting. This one is the Spiritual AF cards, and honestly, I've at first I was like, why do I need this one? I actually got this one because of a pick a card reading that Peggy Papes did. and yeah, it just the cards that she showed in that reading they just made me laugh so much. I just felt I needed this deck because of that. And I was going to take this one to work and just pull a card whenever I was feeling really frustrated, but so far I haven't done that. And one of the reasons I love this deck so much is this card. Because it just reminds me so much of this little inside joke we've got, me and my partner. He always laughs at me because whenever I see the moon, I just go, "Oh, look at the moon! Look at the moon! It's so pretty!" And he just kind of goes, "Yes, I've seen the moon before." And so when I pulled this card for the first time, I started laughing out loud, and my partner was like, "What is it?" And I was just like, "Look at the fucking moon!" And it was just, so it's just the kind of thing that's, you know, kind of silly, But when you start peeling back the joke, it actually contains quite a lot of sense and advice. And so basically, like I showed you earlier here now, one side has like just some artwork with a phrase, and the other side is kind of expanding on that phrase and actually giving you some more insight. So this one is a rewriting of Dance Like No One's Watching kind of thing, but this is Dance Like Everyone Else Can Go Fuck Themselves. And basically it then expands and says, we cut ourselves off from joy far too often because we worry what other people will think of us. Take a moment today to look around and silently tell everyone to go fuck themselves, then dance. So I really appreciate this deck for what it is. I haven't used this much as a divinatory deck in that sense. I've more used it as a, pull a card when I want to be cheered up kind of deck. And fair enough, sometimes all the cussing in it can get a bit, overwhelming, especially if you're brought up in the kind of way where you didn't really get to curse very much. I'm definitely a potty mouth myself, so I'm not a very sensitive person to that kind of stuff, but I do kind of sometimes feel like it's a bit it can just be a bit much too sometimes, and feel a little bit overdone, like they're squeezing in all the fucks everywhere. So yeah, don't involve yourself with whack shit. Oh, go on a whack shit cleanse for a week, yeah. This one as well. You're gonna cry about it or boss up? Pro tip: do both. Yeah, you can cry and still, process your feelings. And yeah, it's just it's definitely a gem that I'm not gonna give up anytime soon. I feel like I have barely touched this deck in quite a while, so I am going to try and include it a bit more often, especially when I just need that kind of ass kicking energy that this one gives. So yeah, but this one has not seen much use this last year, to be honest. Well, here's the next one. It's the Mists of Avalon Oracle by Rose in Sarah, and again illustrated by Nadia Turner, the same person who did the Forest Fae, if you remember, just a few decks ago. So this one again I got purely because it was Nadia Turner's artwork, and honestly have not used it much, or basically at all. I don't know. I feel like I should give it a proper chance, but because I love the artwork so much. These are the gorgeous backs. I just haven't been able to figure out how to use this deck. When I was young, I was such a huge, Arthurian legend fan, and I think that's mainly why I wanted this deck so much as well, except for the fact that it was Nadia Turner's artwork. But once I got it in my hands, I was like, oh, I don't know anything about all of this. I felt like I haven't read any Arthurian stories since I was a kid, and I felt really disconnected to all of it suddenly when I had it in my hands. And yeah, I felt a longing to work with the cards because, you know, well, mainly because of the artwork, but it's still kind of something I'm on the edge about. I don't know. But yeah, look at the card. So beautiful. I think these cards could easily be used as well as I think there was it Dawn Michelle at Boho Tarot that used these cards as just like I used the other ones, the other Oracle cards, where I choose a card and then I use the keywords in the deck to build a tarot reading. These, I think she used these as like different directions and basically pulled a card for each keyword. And I think I might try something like that to try and connect with this deck. Because the artwork is just really speaking to me, and I was, you know, I bought the deck with pure intentions of using it, and I just haven't. Alright, we've nearly gone through the whole deck now, so this was not supposed to be a flip through. Anyway, this was the Mists of Avalon Oracle by Rose and Sarah and illustrated by Nadia Turner. Next up is the Magical Herb Oracle, and lo and behold, I do have another Sherilyn Darcy deck. So I lied earlier. But anyway, these are herbs and not flowers. So anyway, this is illustrated by Dear Dandy. And this one had been on my wish list forever. And then I finally got it. And yeah, I really like the artwork. But if I don't remember wrongly, I had some issues with the guidebook. Anyway, let's just look at the cards for now. I really like the keywords with this, and I like that we get like a little symbol in the background to help with the like that connects to the keyword. And oh my goodness, these backs are one of my absolute favorites ever. But for example, here we have sage and the keyword is guidance, and then we have a lighthouse here in the background. So this one is super beautiful, and it pairs really well with a lot of decks because it's very neutral in a way. And I really like this deck for that. But there was something, if I don't remember wrongly, about the guidebook, and now I'm just too curious to leave it alone, so let's just check what it was. No, that one looks fine. What am I mixing this up with? Anyway, I'm sorry. I might be mixing this up with something, so another deck. But anyway, I like this deck quite a lot. Still trying to find the botanical deck for me. But at the same time, I have so many animal decks. Don't see why I can't have several botanical decks as well. Anyway, that was the Magical Herb Oracle by Sherilyn Darcy and Dear Dandy. Next up is my beautiful indie edition of the Prairie Majesty Oracle by Cara Simons and Amy Putney Koning. Gorgeous deck. I really love this. Really love this deck. It has not gotten as much use as I would have hoped for some reason, but it is definitely a gem. I really love it's so different. It's quite unique in its you know, the way it's made up. We have the prairie being like prairie animals being represented here, and the wisdom from the prairie through these animals and botanicals. So we get a keyword and a key phrase, and then or like a key question, I should say. So it's like the creature is asking you a question, and yeah, I must say that at first when I got this, I was a little bit I wouldn't say put off, but I didn't quite like the artwork as much as I thought I would have. But that quickly changed once I started using the deck. It's very unique, like I said, and honestly, kind of heartwarming. Like, how cute is this mouse, for example? And yeah. I also really love the keywords. They're quite different. Dabble, for example. I mean, endure, fair enough, but it's like, yeah. Then we also have these celestial cards. Do I accept myself without judgment? The earthworm. Breathe. I mean, there's so much to work off there. So, yeah, this deck, I need to pick this up again and start using it again. I used it quite a lot in the beginning because it is one of my very first indie oracles, I believe. It's not the first, because my first one was the Earthbound Oracle, but this one was definitely one of my first ones. So it has a very special place in my collection because of that. So that was the Prairie Majesty Oracle by Cara Simons and Amy Putney Koning. Right, let's just continue with Cara Simons, shall we? So this is the Song of the Grandmothers that I got from Kickstarter not that long ago. I have probably mentioned this several times on my channel before, but I have a very special story with the Grandmothers deck. I've been wanting the original Grandmother's Oracle for quite some time, ever since I saw it for the first time through Krista. And Krista has been very kindly pulling me a grandmother card whenever I needed one, and I managed to develop a very strong bond to this deck, to the original Grandmother Oracle, before I even had it in my hands. And then Cara Simons announced that she was really redoing this deck together with Mari in the Sky, and I was just overwhelmed by happiness. However, as the time progressed, I was just increasingly feeling, oh, I really want the original, because I had bonded with it so much. And because of that, I think I still haven't really dug into this deck which I feel is such a shame because it's such a gorgeous deck. And I really just need to let it go and start working with this one, because it's the same wisdom in this deck. I mean, the guidebook is nearly exactly the same. It's just been edited a little bit. So it would be giving me the same messages. It's just that the artwork from the first one, even though it was just stock images, it's the kind of images that my grandmother would have cut out of magazines and put in her little scrapbook, you know? So it's kind of like I had already bonded with that and felt her energy in that deck. So yeah, I am ashamed to say that I still haven't really started working with this deck, because I'm still kind of, I mean, look at it, it's so gorgeous. I really just need to get over my crush on the first edition, I think. So this is the Song of the Grandmothers deck by Cara Simons and Mari in the Sky. Okay, next up is the illustrated Bestiary Oracle cards by Maya Toll, illustrated by Kate O'Hara. So I've got two of these. I've got the illustrated Bestiary and I've got the illustrated Herbiary over here. The only thing is that they are from two different types of printings. So this one is the specific just the Oracle deck with the little book, whereas this one is the special edition with the big book and gilded edges and completely different cardstock and a different size altogether. So I haven't been able to put them together, and now I'm not sure, because I haven't been working with either of them, to be honest. I'm not sure I'm going to be able, or I'm going to, I was going to, or I am going to sell this on or trade it together with the big guidebook. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that with the Bestiary or not. But let's start with the Bestiary. So this is a gorgeous deck. Honestly, Kate O'Hara's artwork is just fantastic. And this is another illustrator that I actually had my eyes on before they started doing Oracle decks, and was so thrilled when I heard that they were coming out with this, or that they had illustrated these. Honestly, the artwork in this is just mind-blowing to me. I love it so much. And yet, it is not a deck that I've been using very much. Which is just confounding to me. I don't know what it is. I suspect I just have this kind of personality where I find one deck that I really like and then I just stick to it, and then I kind of forget all my other decks that are in my shelves, and I just need to start rotating a bit better. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have used this deck. I used it quite a lot when I first got it, and it had this, specifically the Bestiary one, has a very special place in my heart because I got a very special connection to the crow. The crow in this deck. Let's see, have we already gone past the crow? This is not. No, there he is. It was the raven, not the crow. Goodness me. Yeah, the first reading that Krista ever gave me was with this deck and the Victorian Fairy Tarot, and the card she drew for me from this deck was the Common Raven, and it was a very, very important reading for me, and it was also the first time that I had any kind of connection to the Victorian Fairy Tarot, and that's why I got that deck, and now it's one of my absolute favorites. So this deck, I feel, definitely needs to get some more attention as well in my collection. And then let's also look at the illustrated herbiary, which is, again, one of the most gorgeous decks, really. And honestly, I feel like I haven't used it much just because of I immediately knew that I wanted to either give it away or trade it or sell it, so that I could get the other edition to go with the bestiary, so that it would have the same card stock. Because honestly, if I mean, this artwork in this one as well is just so amazing. I can't even explain it. If anything, it's really weird, but I feel more connected to the artwork in the herbiary than the bestiary, which is very odd for me because I'm more of an animal than a plant person. But there are quite a lot of animals in this deck as well, even though it is based on plants. But I do really like the keywords in this one as well. So this was the illustrated herbiary oracle and the illustrated bestiary oracle by Maya Toll and Kate O'Hara. Okay, let's do the next one, which is the Crystal Forests, an intuitive card deck, 2nd edition, and this is by Jess Purser. This is a Kickstarter that I backed not long ago, and it arrived just a couple of weeks ago maybe, and so I have not worked with this one at all yet, except for pulling a card for me and a couple for my friends. I mean, I have a weakness for trees and forests, so I mean, there we go. That's about all the reasons why I got this deck. But I really loved the artwork, and I thought that it was really quite a fun take to represent each crystal as a forest. And even though I haven't quite figured out what place this deck has in my collection yet, it is my only crystal deck. So I suppose it has earned a spot that way as well. The only thing I would say about this is that the titles and keywords can be a bit difficult to see on some of the cards, but if you just tilt it in the right light, you will be able to make it out. And I don't know, I suspect that was intentional, so that you could easily ignore the title and just like go into the forest, I suppose. But these are absolutely gorgeous, and yeah, I look forward to getting to know this deck a bit better. I can't recall now if there is a guidebook or not. Hang on. here's the guidebook. And it's just a tiny or thin little thing, but you get a little write-up for each card. And yeah, I don't think it needs much more than that. So that was the Crystal Forest by Jess Purser. These were the backs, by the way. Let's do this little deck. So this is, oh gosh, what's the name of this? Nature's, I've forgotten the name of the deck. That's just so bad. Nature's, it's not Spirit of Nature Oracle? No? That's the other one. This is so bad. Oh my goodness, you guys, I apologize. I'm going to put the name of the deck here. I'll look it up afterwards. Goodness me. It's one of my favorite decks, and I've completely forgotten both the name of the creator as well as the name of the deck itself. Gosh, this is embarrassing. Anyway, this lovely little deck is a message deck. There are oracle decks, and then there's message decks or affirmation decks, and this one is kind of like a message affirmation type deck. First of all, I have developed a weakness for just simple photography decks, and this one really scratched that itch for me when I first got it. I love the simpleness. It's not kind of keywords per se, but it's symbolic things in nature. And I thought that I was going to have a really hard time reading with this, but I really like it. And especially the little messages in the back are quite straightforward and also can be quite harsh at times, just like nature. And there's like 3 little paragraphs, and you can either go for the whole shebang or, choose whichever resonates with you in that moment. And I've just found the messages in this to be quite spot on and quite, comforting, and also a little bit of ass kicking in that sense that it tells you what you need to hear. And I've also kind of used it as a simple, without the words in the back. Like I've just pulled a few, or pulled 1 or 2, just to look at the picture, just to kind of think about what they might mean in that sense, like what's the point of fur? It's to keep you warm, to protect you from the elements, to protect the animal, from the elements. And that in itself can mean, in a reading, for example, to find what is that thing for you, depending on what you are, what the reading is about, of course. But I feel like I'm rambling. I'm so sorry. I don't think this was the right day for me to do this video. But anyway, this is a gorgeous little deck. Love it to bits, and that's why I made it this special little pouch as well. I think I've actually thrown away the box. I need to check. But anyway, this was one of my favorite nature decks that I can't remember the name of. Oh, goodness me. Right, next one up is the Secrets of Wandwood by Jackie and... Oh, what's his name? Jackie. Here we go. Jackie and Phil Lovesey. There they are. And goodness, this deck, I love it so much. I can't even tell you how much I love it. I love this little world that Jackie and Phil have built up here. At first glance, it feels like the keyword and the artwork doesn't really match, like there's a dissonance there. But as soon as you read the guidebook, as soon as you read the little story that comes with each card, it just warms your heart so much. Like in this case, when I first went through the deck, I was like, Hope? Why is this a picture of Hope? She's got all of these innocent little foxes in a kettle. Like, that's not... Or like a cauldron. Is she going to cook them? Like, what's happening here? But when you read the guidebook, the story makes your heart so warm and gives you some kind of lesson or just a moment to dream yourself away into a different world. And I've found myself trying to not use this deck so often, just so that I can stretch out the little stories and enjoy it for longer. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like I pull a card every now and then instead of every day, just so that I will have a new story to explore for a longer period of time. So yeah. But the more I've used this deck, the more I've just grown to love this artwork and the world and thoughts within it. And yeah, love this deck to bits. And that was The Secrets of Wandwood by Phil and Jackie Lovesey. Alright, next up is a brand spanking new deck that actually arrived like 2 days ago, and that's the Fairies Oracle by... Oh, what's her name? I backed her on Kickstarter. Is her name not in here? Marsens something. Well, anyway, you can find the deck on www.marsens.shop, or at least more information about the creator there. So this is another botanical deck. But honestly, you guys, look at these packs. Oh, they're so gorgeous. The cards are absolutely massive. But I don't actually mind it too badly with this one, because it's big enough and flexible enough to be shuffled, you know, sideways like this. And honestly, I have a real weak spot for historical illustrations of animals and plants, and I really like the way she's just kind of edited all of this. I like that we get the name of the plant, we get the scientific or Latin name for the plant, we get a number to find it easier in the guidebook. We also get the German name for the plant, as well as a little key phrase or a keyword here up in the top corner. The only thing that kind of annoys me a little bit is I don't think that this empty circle was necessary. I think it would have looked a lot cleaner without it, because in some of them, and in some of these cards, I feel like it's been a little bit sloppily edited, because, for example, in this case, the flower kind of dips into this line, as you can see there. Same thing here, and I think maybe it was intentional. It probably was, but for me and my and for my eye, I think it would have felt better for me if this area was clear. I don't know, and that this circle thing wasn't there. But that's just the tiniest gripe, honestly. The deck is gorgeous, and you don't really see it once you're just pulling a card and laying it out together with other cards. So here we have Wormwood, and the key phrase is no risk, no magic. Enjoy the now, mellow. Shepherd's Purse, what's meant for you will stay. Dandelion, remember why you started. So I really like the key phrases in this. And let's have a quick look at the guidebook as well. So for each card, you get this one page with the card itself, and then you also get one full page of writing for each card. And each card also contains a little bit of history of what the herb is used for, or how it gained its name, and the like. And half of the guidebook is in English and the other half is in German. So that was the Althea Oracle. Let's just continue on the new deck situation. I've got 2 decks here that I haven't even opened yet. They are still shrink wrapped, and that's the Wisdom of the Shadow and Wisdom of the Divine Feminine. And I was thinking about whether or not I should open them for this video so that I could show you some of the cards, but then I thought I'm not ready for these decks yet. I got them because they had a special price where they were half off, because they had a batch that they said were a little bit dinged up, but honestly I can't really see it. I mean, they look pristine to me, and I got them half off, so I got basically 2 for the price of 1, and I couldn't pass up the chance, so I got them. They arrived a little while ago, and I just haven't had the energy. You know, I've had my health issues lately, and yeah, it's just felt a bit too overwhelming at the moment. So these are in my collection, but I haven't opened them yet, and I will probably do a flip through of some kind at some point. So that's all you get from these 2. I'm sorry. Next one up is the Illuminated Earth Oracle by Claire Mack, and this deck is also one of my very first indie oracles, and just has a very special place in my heart. I've edged it in this matte gold, and these are the gorgeous backs. And yeah, this deck is super gorgeous. I love this artwork so much. It feels really, I don't know, ancient almost. The only thing is I still kind of have a hard time marrying the two different art styles in this deck. Like, these ones feel really ancient and primal and like, you know, like nature magic almost. And then we have these cards like this one and this one that I just can't seem to connect with the others. And I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it goes to show that even if that's a thing that bothers me, this is still one of my favorite decks. I just feel like it gives so much to a reading, and I just think artwork overall has a very big impact on me. Like the moodiness of the colors and the way a card can make me feel is enough. It's like it doesn't even have to have words. I'm like, sometimes I can't even put it into words. It's just kind of a feeling, a knowing in my bones kind of thing. Like, I pull a card and I just feel what the card is trying to tell me, instead of trying to interpret it and put it into words. And that's the kind of thing that I can get from this deck. That's why a lot of the time I have a difficult time reading for other people, because when I read for myself, I don't always sit down and write down or put into words what it is that I'm sensing from the cards. It's more like a just sitting with the feeling type of reading and gaining knowledge through that. So yeah, it can be a little bit fussy sometimes, if that's the word I can use. I don't know. But anyway, that's the Illuminated Earth Oracle by Claire Mack. Next one up is the Inner Star Oracle deck, the Magic Edition, and this one is by Jo Klima. She goes by the Darling Tree online, I believe. And this one is also, I think this was one of my first indie oracles that I got second hand. In any case, I've had it for quite a long time, and this is another one of those decks where you just kind of feel your way through it. Although the guidebook is actually, it's small, but it has quite a lot of, well, not quite a lot, but it's got a page for each card, and I really like the messages in this, as well as the affirmation that you get at the end. This deck is actually, I feel like this deck is sorely underrated. I barely see it spoken about anywhere, and I really love it. It's got these colorful pictures in the background that you don't really see it at first, but it is like a photograph or a picture in the background, and then it's got these like sigil like drawings on top, as well as a keyword or a key phrase. And yeah, I just feel like this one is a very comforting deck for me, and I used it quite a lot when I first got it. Now I have so many Oracle decks, it doesn't see as much use, but I do still pull it out regularly, and especially when I have something I want to work on. I feel like I get the most poignant and powerful readings from this when I have something specific that I'm aspiring to, and then I pull a card or two and I keep them out for the time that I'm, trying to do that kind of work, and it just reminds me each day of what my goal is, kind of thing, and how to get there. So yeah, that's the Inner Star Oracle deck by Joe Klima. Next up is another botanical deck, and this is the Botanical Inspirations by Lynn Araujo. Araujo, is that how you pronounce that? This one is quite well known. It's got one of the worst backings ever, but I love this little deck. It's very it's got the oldie timey illustrations that I love so much, and it's small, fits my hand really well, and I love that you get the name of the plant, the Latin name, keywords, and a little quote in the bottom there. And this one actually really goes well with a lot of different decks. It pairs really well with anything that has any type of vintage feel. Pairs really well with lots of other decks that doesn't have much vintage feel, but I really particularly like to pair this one with the Victorian Fairy Tarot. That's a match made in heaven. And yeah, it's a really cute little deck, and it is fair to say I've used this one the most out of all of my flower decks. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. So that's the Botanical Inspirations by Lynn Araujo. Next one is another mass market deck, and that's the Seed and Sickle Oracle deck. And this one's special because it's got two guidebooks, one for the dusk and one for dawn. So these are both kind of, you get two different interpretations of each card, and I really like these. I feel like the two guidebooks could have been combined, and the two meanings could have been, kind of like one page dawn and one page dusk. It would have made it much easier to navigate and to read, because I like to read both meanings to see which one resonates the most. But yeah, this is a deck by Fess Inkwright. I think I forgot to mention that. And honestly, I think this is so beautiful. I love this deck so much, and I really need to start using it a bit more than I have. Again, it kind of fell in the background a little bit because I can't really say why. I used it a lot when I first got it, every day in fact, and I really, really loved it. And so many of the cards in this speak volumes to me, like, oh, look at these. I also love that they've got all of these, they've chosen all of these plants that are quite meaningful to me, and also they exist around me. Like this rose, for example, is not the kind of rose you find in flower shops. It's the kind of rose that grew in my great grandmother's garden when I was little. and there's dandelions and clovers and birch trees and chamomile and hawthorn, all of these things that grow around me. And I mean, except for oleander, I don't think we have any oleander in Finland. But buttercups, crocuses, I see these every spring. So it's just, really, really cool deck. And honestly, Fess Inkwriter's artwork is just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Love this deck so much. I'm going to keep this one out. I felt really, really strongly about this deck now, and I'm going to keep this one out and use it for the next week or so. All right. Next one up is also one of my oldest ones, and that's the Messages from the Light meditation deck. This one is I don't know, it's also one of these decks where I used it a lot for a time, quite a long time ago, and now I haven't used it in a while. But the artwork in this is also one of those artworks that you feel the artwork in this one. It's kind of like, it speaks to you in a way that it's deep on a different level. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's a beautiful deck. All right, something happened to the sound here, so I'm voice over recording. I just remembered talking here about how there's quite a lot of Buddhist imagery in this deck. So lots of lotus flowers and Buddha heads, and I think that's partly why I stopped using this deck so much. Not that I've got anything against Buddhism or Buddhist teachings, it's just that I'm not very well versed in it, and I'm not a Buddhist, and I don't follow Buddhist teachings, so it felt a little bit like it wasn't quite my domain, if you understand what I mean by that. But the deck is beautiful nonetheless, and I really like the artwork, like I've said before, and I think that the guidebook has really beautiful messages in it as well, and certainly things that I can use and learn from. So I might try to use this deck again. However, I might also, if I try it again and still feel a little bit uncomfortable around it, it might end up going to my purgatory box, or I might just kind of customize it to my own end or something. Anyway, it's a gorgeous deck and part of my deck history. Alright, next one is one of my absolute faves, and that is the Spirit Animal Oracle by Colette Baron Reid. And yes, I know, it's a little bit corny, and it's a little bit silly, maybe, and it's a bit... what's to say other than corny? I don't know, but a lot of people like to categorize this as a hug deck or as a kind of silly deck. But honestly, you guys, it's one of my oldest ones, so I've used it the most, and it's the deck that got me into Oracle decks, to be honest. I really dislike the fact, I mean, I can get behind the fact that people dislike it because the animals are adorned with human things, like crowns and feathers from other creatures, earrings and stuff like that. But I also kind of have learned to just look past it and see it as the spirits of the animals and not the animals themselves. I mean, I would have much preferred this card without all of the like face paintings and the feathers and all of that. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is, this deck has helped me so much through so many pinches. I've just learned to look beyond it and ignore the things that annoy me. Because the key phrases on each card is so good. But when you count in this massive guidebook, each card gets like 3 pages of, well, 3 pages of text. And I just feel like the messages in this are so helpful to me. This deck has never failed to bring me comfort. Let's just say that. Yeah. And I suppose it's a hug deck in that regard. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with a hug deck. There's nothing wrong with a hug deck. Hug decks are the best. I mean, we turn to our cards sometimes for a hug, for comfort, and it's just so silly, the notion that a hug deck is something like a derogatory term. Like, I think it's very silly. Because honestly, you guys, life is hard sometimes, and if there is such a simple thing as a bunch of paper cards that can give you comfort in a time of need, then honestly, that is just one of the most beautiful things. Don't you think? That the ideas and the artwork and the passion of the creators can reach out to you and give you comfort in your time of need through a piece of paper. I think that's magic. I think that's really cool. And the thought of these decks or anything in the realm of decks is only reserved for very serious undertakings. It's just so silly. So honestly, one of my absolute favorites, and that's the Spirit Animal Oracle by Colette Baron Reid, and the artwork is by Jenna della Grottaglia. There. Alright, another one of my favorites is another mass market deck, the Soul's Journey Lesson Cards by James Van Prague, I don't know. Anyway, another deck that I don't see many people talk about, and I must say I've used this deck quite a lot. I like it because of its simplicity. I like it because of the key phrases, and the write-ups in the book is also actually quite excellent. I like that we have just this simple artwork that we can focus on if we want to meditate on whatever lesson we've just read, or to just have something pretty to put up on your shelf if you want to focus on one of these teachings. And yeah. I feel like it's also a deck that you can just go through and find the card that you are most drawn to, or that relates to whatever it is that you want to remember or work on, and just keep it out for you as a remembrance, to remind you of what it is that your goal is. So yeah, this was the Soul's Journey lesson cards by James van Praag, and yeah, one of my favorites in my collection. All right, here we go. This is my one and only Lenormand deck, the Anna K. Lenormand. I got this second hand, and I haven't used it yet because I don't know how to read Lenormand, but I had to get it because I really love Anna K's artwork in this Lenormand deck. It's so pretty. I can't even. I love it so much. I almost wish that she would make another. I mean, I love the Anna K Tarot, don't get me wrong. The Anna K Tarot is great. But there's a clear difference between the artwork in the Anna K Tarot and this artwork. And I think she did the Lenormand after she'd done the Anna K, and her artwork had improved. And I feel like I would really love a tarot deck in this style. So yeah, this is the Anna K Lenormand, and love it to bits, even though I've never worked with it. If that's even possible. Next up is The Davis of Creation by Cilla Conway, and I must admit I got this deck, felt immediately overwhelmed and put it away, and haven't worked with it since. Oh, it's just been sitting there. It's kind of like with the tarot. It feels so imbued with hidden knowledge and magic that I don't understand, and just ended up putting it away for the time being, planning on taking it out again when I felt ready for it, because this artwork is again one of those just, the feelings you get from these images. It's kind of like nothing else. Yeah, it's a beautiful, gorgeous deck. But I don't have much to say about it other than that, because I have, like I said, not worked with it. Oh, goodness. Look at that. Ooh, it gives me chills, and yeah, I haven't been ready for it. Maybe soon. Also, I'm not sure about the concept of Davis. If it's something I subscribe to or what. So it'll have to be an area for exploration for me. Next up is a brand new deck in my collection that my good friend Jenny from A Year and a Day, sent to me as a gift. And that's the Celtic Tree Oracle, A System of Divination by Liz and Colin Murray. So at the same time as she sent me this, she also sent me the Ostara Tarot. But it arrived like a day or so after I had published my my tarot walkthrough or tarot collection video, so it wasn't mentioned there, or was it? I can't remember now if it made it to in time for that collection video. Goodness, I have such bad memory. But anyway, this deck is about basically a deck for each trees in the Celtic tradition of the Ogham, and it's kind of like the Spirit of Nature Oracle that I showed you earlier, with the artwork from Will Worthington. But these are smaller and have more of a focus on the Ogham staffs as well. I really love these little cards, but like I said, it's brand new to my collection. I have had no time to actually read the book or get to know the cards or anything like that. So, but I am looking forward to checking out the book and see what I can do with the cards. And these are the backs, by the way. So the box comes with this little like booklet of where you can document the readings, as well as a spread sheet, and of course a really lovely hard back book. Alright, next up is a quirky little deck that I found randomly on Etsy. It's got just this, it's only got 19 cards, and these are the backs, and I've rounded this deck myself and edged it because it came in with the unrounded edges, and it's tiny, and it's basically, it's quite thin cardstock. It was an impulse purchase that I got, and I think they are, I mean, there's way too few of them, first of all, but the artwork is just so gentle and pretty, and I really wish there were more cards in this deck. So yeah, that's I don't even, hang on, where's the name of it? Soul Art Alchemy Mini Medicine Card Deck. It doesn't even say the creator's name on here. But anyway, if you search for Soul Art Alchemy on Etsy, you should find it. Next up is the Soul Cards number 1. I still don't have number 2, even though it's been on my wish list for ages. In all honesty, I love this deck very much. It's one of those, like I said before, one of those decks that you feel and I absolutely adore this artwork so much. The only reason why I haven't been using it much is, well, partly it's very, very strong and has scared me on occasion, but also it's just the worst to shuffle. Honestly, I hate shuffling this deck. I hate shuffling this deck so much. The glossiness makes the cards stick together. It's too big for me to oh, actually, now that I can riffle shuffle, maybe I can actually do it. But before I could riffle shuffle, I absolutely hated shuffling this deck because it was just the stickiest ever. But I think I just need to stick with it and you know, use it enough to make it less sticky. Actually can manage to riffle shuffle it. I'm a bit surprised. Anyway, so that's the soul cards one. And I can't for the life of me remember the creator's name. Hang on. It is Deborah Chopin. And last, but definitely not least, is one of my most precious decks. And that is the Old Ways Magic Oracle by Naomi Cornock. And this deck is very special to me because it was so generously gifted to me by my friend Krista, and it was the first contact I had with Krista at all. She reached out to me after watching my channel and told me that she really wanted to gift me this deck because she felt like that I would really need it. And we've been friends ever since. She's just the most generous and lovely person you could ever meet. And this deck will forever hold a very special place in my heart because she gifted it to me just out of the blue. Never even spoken to her before, and it made me feel rather special, to be honest. Yeah, it's a very gorgeous deck as well. I love the animal cards in this, but specifically the gods and goddesses in this deck I haven't really connected with much yet, but the animal cards definitely, and the elemental cards, yeah. It's also a very special deck because it's humongous. Love this card. It's humongous, but it's also plastic. It's my only plastic deck, and it's just like you can bend it every which way and it's just gonna bounce back. And it's very cool, actually, and waterproof. So this is a gorgeous, gorgeous deck by Naomi Cornock, and it was the Old Ways Magic Oracle. Okay, goodness me, I think that was it, you guys. Thank you so much for sitting through that. I can't believe I've actually managed to get through all of my decks and show you all of them. It's been quite a challenge, to be honest, because I've had to do this while I've been fairly poorly, and fairly poorly. Is that something you can say? I don't even know anymore. I'm so tired right now. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me in this little exploration of my decks. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please share down below if you have any thoughts about any of these decks. If there's anything that you want to know about where to find them, or if they're mass market or not, and whatever. If I've forgotten to mention somebody's name, I apologize. I will rectify that as soon as you contact me. I will let you know anything that I know and that I can tell you. So anyway, enough rambling. You've sat here long enough. Thank you so much. Again, please take care of yourselves and be well, my friends, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.